where has our standard conditionings within the past relationships, spiritual past relationships of the energetics, got us this far? How did it bring us to where we are at right now? What is the substance and, you know, the effects of the travel destinations we've already pursued? We are like the cooling down effects of how the filtration systems of the different aspects and components of us, the elements for one example, how it's the essence of them upgrading, you know, our faculties to, you know, burn within our own character, for us to cool down within our own receptacle of ourselves, moon, water aspects, the receptacle, the receiving, the feminine component, the moon, you know, our intellect, the wind, and the earth, you know, seeing like what has been solidified within, you know, the visionary scope within us. Those filtration systems, aspects, components, all the same thing in this context. They're always in transition and in development. And since they're always in transition and development, we forgot that they have been in development past lifetimes. So it's not about the physical age at all. And it's not about the spiritual age at all either. It's not seeing those two together linearly. No, it's seeing how they're intermixing with other things on a non-linear aspect. So it's not getting caught in a linear trap. So what I'm trying to say, from us being an experiment, life is a brutal initiation because it's testing us to see how we acclimate to different fields of elementations of how this, excuse me, I'm eating banana ice cream, and this is like it was always a favorite, you know, rainbow sprinkles and Cold Stone Creamery banana ice cream. That was my go-to, like when I first found out about, you know, that place. But yeah, going back to this video, it's seeing how us being an experiment, seeing how our filtration systems, what we have kind of not necessarily plateaued, but how we kind of like smoothed in and pluffed in and plowed in, and kind of had, like, our human life, it's kind of our own landing. You know, how we're going through this timescape, it's our landing for how our soul experienced something else and its own up and down mechanism of a life's journey, and how that up and down mechanism is reflecting within this life. So this life is an experiment, and we're seeing how our filtration systems, the components and aspects of ourselves in different unique alchemical configurations of intellect, from the soul to the surface level elements and other components and dynamics, we're seeing how we acclimate to different energies that are heightened, that are like us but not necessarily us. Because the wind is the wind, and we are the wind too, but we're in different formations of the wind. So it's about what kind of container and encapsulation and vessel is ultimately inhabiting the different expressions of unique elements over beyond the material life of it, you know? Because people have this conditioning and this conformity based on how their soul is just traveling on the most simplest level from however they got originated to how they got here. And within that, there's little discrepancies on how they need to conform based on the societal survival factor, that being the conditioning in itself. There has to be some type of, like, your darkness can't show in the realm of light, because the realm of light is asking for a different type of participation and action plan, the light, sun, you know. So, so within the program of how the astronomy and the astrology has been programmed to, like, be inebriated and to actually breathe its programming within this reality, that's pretty much, it's heightening different energies that we more or less are in our own different context and encapsulation and vessel container. We are that, but we are not that, because we're our own unique expression. So when, like, things happen like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc., certain energies are heightened within certain energies being heightened, within certain energies being heightened. It's the metaphysical esoteric discrepancies and the metaphysical esoteric nuances that are happening within the deeper spiritual algorithm, that the material algorithm has just been taking notes since time immemorial. And everything is actually simplified and explained. It's like we are where we're at because we've compartmentalized ourselves on a metaphysical level, energetic level, to want to follow up based on what we could follow up on, based on how we're following our intuition, our soul speaking to us. We're following up on that, leading to ultimately where we are at. Because you have to ask yourself, how did we get to where we're at right now? How did we get to where we're at right now? Just soberly speaking, sober intellect. How did we get to where we're at right now? Because naturally, within the last 6 years of quality podcast I've already uttered, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but because I'm connecting to a different feeling beyond the human mind of it. I'm connecting to the feeling of everything that's already been expressed, everything that's already been projected and displayed in different realms and different reciprocation realms beyond this human life, hopefully. So within saying that, there's many points to be made even more so. So the brain works really interestingly in how it recalls and recaps all of that because, so the point I wanted to make is like the universe is an organic transhumanist. What does that mean? Time is killing us right now on a natural level, on a non-morbid level, on a natural level. So we have to ask, since there's mathematical formulations within Bhagavatams, etc., the super Atman atmosphere being 75% of God's body and the material world being 25% of God's body, that being a standard little fact, we have to immerse ourselves and eventually prepare ourselves for that reality rather than just hearing about the rhetoric of it. I'm evening out the playing field of everybody's ego, if you read between the lines, and everybody's title and status, because this is just a pure neutral distillation of the essence of the information, knowledge, and the wisdom and the action plan in itself, if you read between the lines. So it's not about saying I'm a master, I'm a student. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's saying that time is killing us, and once time kills us, it's going to assess us to see what we're ready for and to see how we could reformulate ourselves to have another material body based on what we're doing in the element of time. You could say that's the seventh element. It's not necessarily, it doesn't really matter right now what number it is. It's just that, because like there's things building within each other, on each other, below each other to make new things. And those elements have different expressions of fixation, cardinality, and mutability. And none of them are higher than another. They all have their own principle, exaltation within their own material to non-material density field of self, actualization, materialization, and spiritualization. So with that being said, time is killing us right now. But like if someone's doing that on an inverted level, a double inverted level, the first inversion not being bad, just pure natural darkness, but the double inversion level, ignorance within the darkness, if people are like trying to have a transhumanist agenda just for whatever reason, and I'm not saying that's necessarily happening because there's infinite diversity, 6 years quality podcast. So it's like, if we really, really are convicted and have belief and faith and total, I guess whatever loyalty is to God, and then you got to ask yourself, what is loyalty? Loyalty is like truth and clarity to yourself and to what sustains you. That's pure loyalty. But aside from pure loyalty, it's like, if God's already doing the natural organic transhumanism with time killing us all, and this is a high metaphor, not to be taken literal, then why would God allow, a double inversion, different transhumanistic agenda to happen? Because on a different, bigger picture level, a certain demographic of spirits on a different esoteric realm from a certain particular sixth dimension, that demographic is voting for that, paying attention to that. And we're in a new experiment melting pot where there's entertaining extreme polarities. So it's like, why, you've asked yourself this, why is injustice happening? Okay, well, I just answered it. Certain demographic collective parties of soul groups are conforming to a certain agenda that's not necessarily the highest exaltation or benefit of all, and they're having their own unique rebellion to do what they will, and that's affecting the whole plantation of the whole cosmos from the top down dimensions. And as that affects the top down, you could see the discrepancies of the neutral division on what separates, you know, ignorance from truth, detrimentality to constructivity, because you have to ask, why is all of this happening the way it is? Well, I just explained it like so many times. Like I'm just cruising within the experiment, because life is it's a brutal initiation, you know, like once we kind of well round ourselves and we have a certain type of awareness and realization of how certain things are quote unquote ongoing, end quote, but is everything always going to be ongoing? Not necessarily, because, you know, things could get transcended altogether on a different point, but that point hasn't happened. But like certain things are ongoing, so it's like don't count on anything to really expire too soon, such as like certain factions of like different organizations. No, they still have their own bearings and their footholding within like some type of seventh dimension, etc. And I'm just speaking like I'm just speaking kind of allegorically to like kind of really clarify how everything is the way it is. How is everything the way it is? And I've been asking myself like this, like for like beyond the human life, beyond the last 12 years of the creative research and the creative investigation. Like, you know, it's seeing, and I'm doing this for my own fairness. You know, I'm doing this so like how I want to be treated is, that's how I'm going to treat the reality, you know. Within reason though, and obviously everything there should be like within reason, you know. So everything I say that I've ever said, you know, the subtext to that is within reason, you know, because what energetic solutions are really being delivered, what energetic support is really being delivered that could be measured and tailored to see how the influence and the impact of a certain insight could last over the millennia long term. So life is an experiment, and as the different energies, Friday, you know, Friday being a testament for like pretty much like how we get to receive the pleasures of heaven, you know. That's how I'm looking at Friday, like. And all of us, based on where we landed from, you know, where we came from, because you have to contemplate to yourself, where did you come from on a spiritual level? And once you know that contemplation has been processed enough, then you could accept more so why you're at where you're at. And why you're at where you're at is dictated based on how you've traveled and how you've leaned, for better or for worse, for ignorance or for clarity. Why are you in a certain spiritual metaphysical jurisdiction? Why are you there, you know? And you're there because you want to learn a certain unique talent or a unique or unique capability, because in the end, it's none of this is really about race. That's like the post illusion, because anybody could like lean towards clarity and balance, but you could tell someone's aura, you know. You could tell if they're like a GMO aura, and you could tell if they're just going to assume bullshit, you know. You could tell that they're not going to see beneath the deeper layers, and they're just going to like have a conformity mindset. No shit, you know, like that's the game of the surface level reality. Like, we're not just playing one game, we're playing a multifaceted dimensional game. That's what's happening within ourselves, to how we're, I guess, apparently, to simplify it all, to have compassion for everything else, because we know not what we do, Father and Mother. So we are an experiment. Time is killing everybody, and life is a brutal initiation, and you do care about yourself aside of what your societal conditioning and societal social engineering has been implanted in you. It's just a material program, and that you need a miracle for that to be supplanted, to be productively, positively reversed. But you have to meet it halfway in so many different intersections, because in the end, you could have, it doesn't really matter what mind, emotion, or position or status you have, in the end, time is weighing you down. And once time weighs you down, it's going to judge you to see what you will be worthy for based on the contract that you're in, metaphysically speaking, to see your next exchange for the next life. This is the essence of pleasure. This is the essence of sustainability. This is the essence of intelligence if you read between the line. And none of you guys are brave to actually step to this, and that could be self